to lead.
You have to kind of work twice as hard.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning from Nigeria's capital city of Abuja. I am Adesu Suyi, and it's the conversation here on TOS TV Network, your digital first Pan-African network. So before we start the show proper, let me quickly, bring you the quote of the day. It's just going to tell you, take one step at a time. If you cannot start big, just go, little by little. That's quite inspiring. All right, now we're going to go on a quick break. And when we get back, I'm going to be taking you through happenings and stories from across Africa. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Now moving straight into development across Africa, starting from here in Nigeria, where UNICEF has urged the federal government to protect schools against, attacks. And this is an offshoot of the kidnapping that happened in Zamfara State. Following the release of over 200 students of the government girls secondary school, Jangebe, in Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria, the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, has called the federal government to take all measures to protect schools in the country. In a statement made available to journalists, UNICEF Nigeria representative Peter Hawkins said that government needs to protect schools in Nigeria so that children will not be fearful of going to school and parents afraid of sending their children to school. Now, schools must be safe places to study and develop, and learning should not become a risky endeavor. Hawkins also added that, they're relieved with the news of the reported release of over the Zamfara abducted schoolgirls who were kidnapped during an overnight attack at their school in the early hours of the morning on Friday, 26th of February. That's quite a relieving news, to know that these girls are back home to their parents. And I think I do agree with what Hawkins said. We're trying to combat the number of out-of-school children, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, and we shouldn't have to now worry about children going to school and having to have more out-of-school children, over fear of terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping. Now, moving over to Tigray, where 4 media workers in Ethiopia's conflict-racked Tigray region have been arrested and detained. Tigray has been at the center of fighting since November last year, when Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced military operations against the Tigray People's Liberation Front, that's TPLF, accusing them of attacking federal army camps. The northern region was an information black hole for much of that time, with reporting heavily restricted and the internet cut off. Abiy's government declared victory over the TPLF after its forces withdrew from principal cities and towns at the end of November. However, low-level fighting has continued in some parts of Tigray, home to more than 5 million people. Tigray has been, conflict and war-torn in the last, I think, couple of years, and there's been lots of displacement and all of that stuff. And I hope succor comes to them really soon. Moving over to Morocco, where the country has cut contact with, the German embassy. Morocco has suspended contact with the German embassy, the foreign minister announced in a letter published late Monday, in what officials said was a protest over Berlin's stand on the Western Sahara dispute. In the letter addressed to the Prime Minister and published by Moroccan media, Foreign Minister Nasser Bourta said the decision to suspend dealings with the embassy as well as German cultural organization was taken in response to deep understanding on issues fundamental for Morocco. Morocco wishes to preserve its relationship with Germany, but this is a form of warning expressing unease over many issues, a senior foreign ministry official said late Monday. Morocco was angered by German criticism of former U.S. President Donald Trump's recognition of Moroccan sovereignty over Western Sahara in return for moves by Rabat to normalize its relations with Israel. That's coming from an official in Morocco. Now, moving over to COVID-19 related stories, back to Nigeria, where, Nigeria received the first shipment of COVID-19 vaccines yesterday, Tuesday. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo will pick dates on which they will be publicly vaccinated with the first batch of Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, which is about 4 million doses arrived on Tuesday in Nigeria. Now, the Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Faisal Schwab, made this known at the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing on Monday in Abuja. According to Schwab, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the PTF on COVID-19, Mr. Boss Mustafa, would liaise with other key strategic persons to fix a date for the public vaccination aimed at protecting Nigerians against the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I do hope that before the president and vice president get tested, because apparently they're going to be the first to get tested in the country, but before they get tested, I do hope the vaccines go through, proper checks, proper tests, and a certified safe for use in Nigeria as it is before the president and then the vice president and every other person starts, getting vaccinated. All right, now we're going to go bring you our COVID-19 updates from across Africa for today. Welcome back. That was COVID-19 update from across Africa. I'm quite impressed at the total number of recoveries, but we still have over 3.9, total cases and over 104,000 deaths. And as we always tell you on the show, please take precautions in countries where vaccinations or vaccines are being rolled out. Please get vaccinated. As long as it's been proven safe already, get vaccinated. Get your friends and your family to get vaccinated so we can have your country can have herd immunity against COVID-19. Also, in countries where vaccinations haven't been rolled out yet, take proper precautions. Wear face masks, public guard, avoid crowded places, use your hand sanitizers, wash your hand properly for 20 seconds, of course, and every other thing. If you're going to cough into your elbow or sneeze into your elbow, we all know these routines. Let's just adhere to it so that we can beat COVID in 2021. We don't have to worry about COVID, in the coming year or in the, fourth or third quarter of 2021. All right, now, having said that, I'm going to go on another break. And in that time, when I come back, I will be bringing you, what the dailies, national dailies are saying this morning.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live. Watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app. Available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget and the budget they look, some of them sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbenedion, and I am the People's Journalist.
Welcome back. Yes, you can join the conversation on across our social media pages, TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also check out our website at www.tostvnetwork.com and also subscribe to our YouTube page. It's TOS TV Network. Now, moving straight into, the headlines for this morning, starting with the Daily Sun. The very obvious headlines on the Daily Sun says US, UK, EU, others hail as COVID-19 vaccine arrives. Nigerians scramble to book dates for vaccination. That story is on page 26 of the Daily Sun. Now, just above the Daily Sun to the right, we have food blockade. Southeast can feed itself, as Setu and others. That is on page 27 of the Daily Sun. Now, moving just beside the pictures of the day, insecurity. Ungwanyi IGP insists on community policing. Under that, Emefiele unveils rice pyramids, tasks Nigerians on farming to attain food security. That story is on page 2. And then under that, federal government declares Zamfara no-fly zone. And then the first rider under that, ACF, others ask government to name those behind schoolgirls abduction. And then the second rider, consult opposition parties, others for solutions, Saraki tells Buhari. And then just underneath the picture of the day, Makinde, Abdul Razak, monarchs, security agencies meet in Ibadan over insecurity, raised the alarm over spread of displaced herders from Ibarapa across 13 villages in Kwara. That's on page 6 of the Daily Sun. Now, just beside that, the last headline on the Daily Sun this morning says, freed Jangebe students open up on ordeal with abductors. And then the rider under that says, kidnappers threaten to rape and marry them. That's on the Daily Sun this morning. Moving away from the Daily Sun to the Guardian newspaper, starting from the very obvious headline on the Guardian newspaper says, at last, federal government takes delivery of COVID-19 vaccines. At last, federal government takes delivery of COVID-19 vaccines. So it's amazing how they say at last. Then the first rider under that says, ministers orders to receive shots on Saturday. Delivery largest consignment in West Africa. As Nigeria's delivery is the largest consignment in West Africa. And then the third rider says, citizens to get vaccination cards and worldwide codes. I'm quite interested in that one, so you should get yourself a copy of The Guardian if you're interested in that one. Another headline on The Guardian newspaper says, federal government invests 116.7 billion naira on second Niger bridge project. Then away from that, just underneath the picture of the day, journalists converge on Lagos to unveil the making of The Guardian. Beside it, Buhari declares Zamfara no-fly zone, bans mining activities. That news is on page 3. And then beside that, we see terrorists kill 6 in Kaduna, troops raid bandits hideouts. That's on page 5. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, we have a lamentation in honor of Barrister Emmanuel Abiodun. That's a law article, and that's on page 5, or 45 rather, of the Guardian newspaper. Now, from the Guardian, I move over to The Nation, starting from the very top. Freed 29 Zamfara pupils threatened to kill us and eat us. That's, talking about their ordeal or their experiences with the kidnappers. They said the kidnappers threatened to kill them and eat them. Then bandits kidnapped 50 in Niger. That's also on the Nation newspaper. And then the first rider under that, 6 killed in Kaduna towns, Soswan's brother murdered. That story is on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. And then beside that, panic in Kwara over herders relocation from Oyo to 13 villages. That news is on page 4 of the Guardian newspapers. Just underneath the Nation headline rather, Nigerians lose 15 billion naira to Ponzi scheme. TCN records 5,801 NW peak wheeling. That is the colorful headline just underneath the newspaper. I didn't know people still engaged in Ponzi schemes. And then under that, COVID-19 vaccination begins in Abuja on Friday. So if you're a resident in Abuja, you probably should get registered and then, get on with vaccination. CBN to phase out $40 billion OMO bills market. And then moving over to the very obvious headline on, the Nation newspaper, Buhari orders crackdown on bandits, kidnappers and others. It says massive military assets for no-fly zone in Zamfara, and Lawan to service chiefs take battle to bandits. That is the headline on the Nation newspaper this morning. Quite interesting headlines, actually. You should get yourself a copy of the Nation, to go over those stories. From the Nation, I move over to the Punch newspaper. Starting from the very top, actually, petrol scarcity persists, transport fares rise by 100%. That's on page 17. We all know this always happens in Nigeria. Once there's a looming fuel price hike or just a, inclination that we're going to have, fuel price hike, transportation fare increases by 100%. It's a constant, and I keep wondering why that is. And then moving over, NLC, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress, mobilizes for protest over planned reclassification of minimum wage. That's on page 9. EFCC deepens Tinubu probe, demand asset declaration from CCB. That's on page 7. Saraki meets Obasanjo, says APC can't handle Nigeria's problems. That's on page 13. And then the very gaping headline on the Punch newspaper this morning says Matawale ACF clash over kidnap leaders' identities. I have 3 riders. The first, our reveal mastermind when schoolgirls reunite with their parents, says Zamfara State Governor. Threat or treat Matawale as criminal if he fails to name those behind kidnapping. That's coming from the ACF. And then the third rider, bandits chained, beat abductees we met in camp, narrates freed schoolgirls. That's still on, narrating their audios with the kidnappers. It doesn't, on different front pages of different newspapers, they have been different accounts or recounts of, what they went through in the hands of the kidnappers. The picture of the day carries, I think that's the COVID-19 consignment, getting to Nigeria. And under that, states gear up as Nigeria gets 3.94 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine. That's on page 11. I was made to swear an oath by Orji Kalu's brother. That's coming from Abari Bay. Drama, Showore supporters arrive court in cultural apparel. That's on page 7. Varsities, police behind mobilization of illegal graduates for NYSC. That's coming from Oloyede, and that story is on page 9. CBN financed farmers cultivated 3.64 million hectares. That's coming from Gordon Emefiele. Suspected herdsmen kill woman returning from stream in Ogun State. And then the last headline on the Punch newspaper, Kwara or your mate brainstorm on joint security squad. Those are the headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning. And moving over to the last newspaper, our last daily I'm going to be, reviewing this morning, the Vanguard newspaper. Starting from the very top, again, I'm going to start from the very top this time around as well. Nigeria received first batch of COVID-19 vaccines. And then under that, food blockade, prices skyrocketing in Nsukka, Aba environs will ensure food production supplies to South. That's coming from the MBF. And that story is on page 32. Then this one is on page 34. Says states should lead in economic recovery and sustainable growth. That's coming from FireMe. Now moving over to the very gaping headline on the Vanguard newspaper on the issue of insecurity. Federal government declares war on bandits, kidnappers and others, declares no-fly zone, bans all mining activities in Zamfara State. Now the first rider under that headline says 279 kidnapped schoolgirls released with help of repentant bandits. That's Governor Matawale of Zamfara State saying that Buhari celebrates release of abducted students, kicks against payment of ransom. Our abductors threaten to kill, fry and eat us. That's coming from the abducted students of Jangebe. And then says kidnappers put sand in the rice they were fed with. And then we're relieved Zamfara schoolgirls are free. That's coming from UNICEF. And then task federal government on school safety. And that's one of the, across the development across Africa story that I read to you, this morning. And then another headline on the Vanguard newspaper, sell tickets, risk jail term, Ondo government wants transport unions. Under that, bandits kill 7 in Kaduna, Niger, kidnap 18 passengers along Tegina Mina Road. And then the last headline on the Vanguard newspaper says petrol price hits 170 naira per litre as scarcity persists. That is on the headline on the Vanguard newspaper. Quite interesting headlines actually, and it's quite depressing when across all the dailies I reviewed this morning we keep saying consistent and persistent issue of insecurity. When it feels as though we are coming out from one, the schoolgirls were released, we're hearing that bandits killed somebody in Ogun State, killed somebody in Niger State. It's as though it's we're going around in a constant circle. Things keep happening. It's as though, and I hope we can, completely say Nigeria is free of the issues of insecurity from, banditry, kidnapping. One day, I hope we can live to see, that day come. All right, that's the much we can take on the newspaper headline this morning. And as I always tell you, you should be fully abreast of, everything, issues happening in the country. So get yourself a copy of one or all of these dailies. And if you cannot, get, in hard copy or in print, you can also get them in e-copies. Or you can check out our website, for all of some of these stories on www.tostvnetwork.com. All right, now I'm going on a break, and when I come back, it'll be time to, bring you what's trending on social media.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram.
Welcome back. It's still the conversation on TOS TV Network, and right about now I'm about to bring you, what's trending on social media. And guess what's trending? The rice pyramid, Kebbi State rice pyramid has been on the top of the trend table in the last 24 hours. Now, Kebbi State made it to the trend table following the flag off of the 2020 wet season harvest aggregation and 2020 dry season input distribution under the Refund CBN Anchor Boras program. You know what? Before I take some of those tweets that I'm going to be reading out to you this morning, let me quickly show you the beautiful rice pyramid in Kebbi State. isn't that actually beautiful? Now, all of those rice, those hundreds of thousands of bags of rice that you just saw, were produced, packaged and bagged in Kebbi State. Kebbi State has been going to work, and that's why, you know, they've been at the turntable and people were talking about it. So I'm going to bring you a few of those tweets. This one, the first one is from Bright Dude. He says, the images from Kebbi State depicting rice pyramids makes me wonder what went wrong over the years in Ebonyi State. There was a time Abakaliki rice was the go-to rice in many homes. What happened? Can we put it down to laziness and lack of interest in farming over there? That's him asking a question. And then another tweet is from Ahmed_Aliyu. He says, Omo man, I see things though, I see things. Coming from Kwara and route Sokoto, once you hit that Mokwa and turn down to face Kebbi Sokoto route, you can walk several hundreds of kilometers left and right. You just be seeing grains, grains and grains as if it's Aljanu that plants them. And then the next one is from Jeff Phillips 1. But seriously, how does your chum feel seeing all those rice pyramids in Kebbi whilst he's daily crying about herdsmen? For those who do not know, farmers' herders crisis happened between Hausa or Fulani farmers and the Fulani herdsmen, just in case you are thinking Kebbi should be free. Now, I'm just quite impressed at the efforts of the Kebbi State government. You know, it takes a lot of effort, you know, from the planting and to the harvesting and the bagging. I'm wondering how much, you know, work and the days and everything that went into all of that. You know, food dependency on importation has been a problem, especially with rice, and then the ban on importation of foreign rice, and then people crying now, say how we're going to survive. You know, we don't produce. Nigeria isn't a producing state, or more of a consumer state, a consumer country, you know, than production. But seeing all of this, somebody did speak about the Abakaliki rice. It was quite, you know, they really put in an effort with the Abakaliki rice. I think some 2-3 or, you know, years ago, I'm not sure what happened with that one, like the person that tweeted that, you know, asked. But I'm quite impressed with what happened in Kebbi State, and I hope more states follows with the Anchors Borrowers program. You know, you get to, I think, get funds from the government and you know produce rice and all of that stuff. Whatever you want to borrow, it's just for agriculture. It doesn't have to be rice. It could be yam, tubers of yam, you know, all of that stuff, just so we can have enough food supply. And you know, it's that time where I think across the dailies I read this morning, we're talking about food scarcity and all of that stuff, especially, you know, in the southwest. And I think you know, having to put in all of these efforts to just take initiative and, you know, start producing what we consume in this country, especially food, you know, would do Nigeria as a state a great good, especially on, you know, dependency on importation. Now, moving away from the social media trend, or what's trending on social media, I'm going to go on another break, and when I come back, we'll get into the crux of the conversation, and that is the big story. Welcome back. It's time for the big story on the conversation, and today on the big story we're going to be looking at, you know, accessing the looming fuel price increase in Nigeria. If you've been in Nigeria in the last couple of days, or I think months, you'd have, you know, had the issue of fuel hike and costing fuel. And then if you've been a commuter in the past 2 days, you'd have seen, you know, what's happening, you know, on the roads. Now, Nigerians who are already agonizing in the atmosphere of an unabated insecurity are faced with another bad news, an imminent fuel price increase. Let's take a look at the timeline of petrol hike in Nigeria since 2016. Now, since 2016, the pump price of petrol has been wreaking havoc with the pockets of Nigerians ever ticking upward, never seeming to come down. In May 2016, the pump price of petrol was increased to 145 naira per litre, up from 86.50 naira, where the previous government of Goodluck Jonathan left it. In March 2020, the pump price of petrol was reduced to 125 naira from 145 naira per litre. But in May 2020, Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency, that's the PPRA, announced a new pump price band to between 129.50 to 123.50 naira per litre. But in July 2020, it was further increased to between 140.80 naira and 143.80 naira. In August 2020, it was again hiked to between 145 naira and 148.86 naira. The latest increase was on September 2, 2020, when it was further increased to 151.56 naira. With the impact of COVID-19 still weighing down the country, what do you think about the timing of imminent increase in petrol pump price? And that's a question you would have to answer personally. The question on the minds of Nigerians, however, right now is, when are we going to come to an end with this incessant fuel price increase? And I'm sure lots of Nigerians, have been asking that question. But obviously, from the body of the press statement issued by NNPC some weeks ago, there will be an eventful hike in the price of fuel at over $65 per barrel. Crude oil price is riding on a 3-month high. Let's take a look at some of the comments from Nigerians at some filling stations here in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria.
We don't just understand what's happening. I can't say they should increase, because even the 162 we've been buying, it's not easy for us Nigerians. Already they've been complaining.
If there is no fuel in the filling station, why is it that the moment they say there's no fuel, in the next 1 minute or 2 seconds, you see people selling fuel all over Abuja on the jerry can? Where do they bring the fuel from? So, in fact, sometimes we talk about the situation of this country, you get one angry, but you don't know which one to start with.
It's never easy. We've been on the queue, but getting to this station where them sell them fuel is difficult. You understand? They have personnel that are more important than we've been in the queue. Before you know what go on, special people used to go into the wrong way, and we'd have been on the queue. They don't recognize us anymore. That is what I'm facing this morning.
Well, I think this is a foregone issue. In the last dispensation, the last government, we killed fuel scarcity in Nigeria. I don't know why it is resurfacing. It's either bad administration or that people are gullible, they want to inflict pains on the citizenry. I can't really point out, because I have not had the government declare whether they have increased fuel or they have not increased. But be that as it may, we are in front of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and that is to say that they should be able to see from the windows of their offices what is happening, and by that should have spurred them into taking an action that is capable of solving the problem once and for all. Because I had a friend that told me that they don't understand what is happening in Abuja, that in Kogi State, in Nasarawa State, in Lagos, every other place, there is nothing like this line that we are seeing.
If the federal government want to increase this, let them increase it, make this matter, make it, they just go. But the way we just suffer is no good. I beg with the.
You can literally sense, the anguish and the frustration on the faces and the lips of everyone that you saw in that vlog. So, everybody's tired. So, joining me to dissect this issue of, full price hike this morning is Diola Yusuf, an energy and power expert. He's going to be speaking to me from Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, Diola, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nigeria.
It's good to have you on the show. Now, but before I get into the show, what's the situation there in Lagos? What's the fuel price and your commuter situation there in Lagos, Nigeria?
Hello?
Can you hear me, Mr. Diola?
Okay, can you?
I'm sorry, I think I'm having quite a disruption with the internet connection. Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay. I was asking earlier, what's the situation there in Lagos State? With the fuel price hike and commuting to work. What is it this morning in Lagos?
Okay, Lagos and all around the that knows those attitude. Maybe based on Lagos, the moving that Papa, maybe some other parts we do not see clearly. Because okay, just a pocket of area which you could 5, 6, 9 doing well. The fear is that has been okay.
I'm having quite a disconnect with the connection right there. I think we might have to call Mr. Diola back so we can get proper clarity and connection with that one. But I'm not sure I heard him clearly. But I think he said there is no, well, you know, 4 queues and all of that stuff in Lagos State. But I'm going to try to, you know, we're going to call him back and I'm going to try to get clarity on that. Because here in the city of Abuja, the queues, like four queues, cars along the road queuing, some even blocking the road, you know, for commuters because they're trying to get fuel. And some of the filling stations are actually shut. They're not even selling fuel. Even the people are actually out there waiting. And then having to come to work, you see commuters, you know, stretch along the road waiting for cars. There are not cars coming because a number of the cars are actually, you know, at the fuel station looking for fuel to buy. Yesterday was hectic, the day before was hectic, and I think this morning the situation was the same. And the NNPC had shared on their Twitter page a few days ago that there will be no increase in fuel price hike in March, that is this month. But they want that filling station. Oh, I think we have Mr. Diola back. Mr. Diola, can you hear me now?
Yeah, very now.
Oh, okay. I can hear you clearly now. So I want to get one thing straight. Did you say that there is no, you know, fuel queues for fuel in Lagos? We're not having this issue that we're having here in the federal capital of Abuja, where motorists are looking for fuel and then the fuel stations are shut, not selling fuel. Are you saying we don't have that in Lagos?
No, what happened is that as this morning,
okay.
A lot of areas in which they had yesterday as you know, they are scared.
Okay.
The day before yesterday and yesterday, it was an entirely different story. We have queues in filling stations, in some stations, while we have gates of other filling stations under lock and key.
Oh, okay.
I think the general problem has been panic buying. But today, when people have heard that there is no going to be increase in fuel price, and when those that queued up yesterday, after queuing up to buy, drove and saw that in the other stations there is no queue, I think the pressure has this morning. So when you asked me about this morning, that was why I gave the answer that there has been okay this morning.
Okay. But you spoke about, you know, saying there is no increase, because I know the NNPC had gone on Twitter to say there won't be increase in fuel price a hike this month, even though Nigerians are panic buying. But what is your reaction to that? The NNPC is saying there's not going to be increase, and they are told filling station to open up and sell fuel. But lots of filling stations are still shutting their gates, expecting a hike in fuel price. What is your reaction to that, and what's your take?
Okay, 2 things. Number one, there is politics of wealth.
Okay.
Number two, there is the reality of wealth.
Okay.
I'll start from the second one. The reality of wealth now is that exactly a year ago, in March 2020, the Nigerian government deregulated the downstream sector. And by implication, what that means is that it's going to be a free market.
Okay.
It's what you buy that you're going to sell. And basically, because crude oil, in which you get the products, all these petroleum products from, it's traded at the international price, at the international market. You know, so because it's a deregulated market, there is no way the price that the crude oil is being sold will not affect the price in which its products will be sold. So that aside, that is the reality of fuel. But the politics of fuel is trying to stick with, you know, two sides of the mouth. And trying to speak with two sides of the mouth is that saying there is regulation and saying that the international price of food will not take effect again. And another truth in the whole matter is that we still have a market that is seriously lopsided based on another very, very sad reality of the state of our refineries. Okay, fine. Nigeria is a crude oil producer.
Correct.
We produce crude in Nigeria. There is nothing that is supposed to concern us with the international price affecting the price that the product will sell at the Nigerian market. If we have refineries that are working. So the reality we have now is that the crude will be shipped outside the country to provide employment for people to, help, boost the forex in other countries. At the end of the day, the product now be shipped back to Nigeria to be sold. So if our refineries were to be working very fine, we have the crude in Nigeria. The only thing we just do is to, transport the crude to the refineries, and those refineries will just refine, and the product will be sold to Nigeria. So now that we have those realities, that is why we now have the politics of fuel that I talked about. is sold at $7 per barrel. Yeah. And by implication, everyone will know that if it's going to be a free market, all businessmen will know that if your byproduct, the product you use for, for something has gone up, definitely it's going to affect the price of the product you get from them. So that has been the reason a lot of people are afraid that by the beginning of March, that likelihood of an increase in the price of fuel. So now we do not have that. NNPC has said that there won't be an increase. And I believe that by that statement and by the efforts the NNPC is now making, by tomorrow, we should be having the situation we have in Lagos now in other parts where the fuel prices is pricing very high.
Okay. Now talking about, the limit for price hike. Now, if we do have a hike in the prices of fuel, at the pump price, what effect is that going to have on Nigerians, especially on businesses, especially at a time where we're still combating COVID-19 and we're looking, for economic recovery? What effect is that going to have? Do you think Nigerians can bear the burden of another fuel price hike at this time?
Okay, thank you so much for that very beautiful question. But before answering that question, I think there's a need for me to do some kind of clarification.
Okay.
Regulation doesn't mean the price will not stay in one place, it can reduce. Apart from, as a matter of fact, between March 2020 and now, March 2020 when the regulation started taking effect, and now we have had 2 cases of price reduction. But we all know that we will naturally feel the price high more than the reduction. Okay. So now going back to your question, everyone will know that the Nigerian economy is tied around fuel. In fact, true to its name, that fuel is the one fueling the entire economy of the country.
Okay.
We know that Nigeria, when it comes to power, Nigeria is generating far less than what the demand is. The country of 200 million people generating around 4,000 megawatts.
I think we lost Mr. Deola there. I think I'm having, quite a disconnect this morning with, connection with network providers. But I hope we can try to reconnect with him. But while we're trying to do that, you can be a part of the conversation across our social media platform. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is TOS TV Network across all those platforms. And of course, you can also check out our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Aside from joining the conversation, we also have amazing, news and stories from across face sets that you can check out. And also on our website, on our YouTube page rather, it's TOS TV Network on YouTube. We have amazing lineup of programs there that you can check out outside, of the conversation. I think that's so much we can take. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We won't be able to wait, to reconnect with our guest. But thank you so much for being a part of the show. But before I leave you, as I always say, take precautions. COVID-19 is still real, so you have to take care of yourself and the next person. And to do that, you have to take proper precaution. Wear your face mask, wash your hands regularly, sanitize if you can't wash your hand at a time, sneeze or cough into your elbow if you have to, avoid crowded places, social distance, and all of those procedures and protocols that have been rolled out, to combat COVID-19 across the world, not just in Africa. Thank you again for being a part of this show this morning. I am Adesuwa Osuyi, and see you tomorrow.